today I'm going to talk about honesty. And honestly, honesty is a plant. It is a flower, which has another name. And it is known also as money plant. Why is that? Because it puts all of its seeds into these badges. When the seeds go away, the badge turns into a silver color, which looks like silver coin. And for a very long time, in my very recent past, I've been struggling or juggling or thinking about managing between my own honesty and money. So it works very well for me. How the story of how I manage the whole thing is actually starts not too long ago. So I want to start with telling you guys a story. Once upon a time, right after I graduated, I was acting as another normal young professional, graduated college, got a job, worked for an instrumentation company in a major that I studied and my parents really loved, chemistry. I was lucky because I got to do some design work along with working in the lab, doing marketing, research, and everything I would have dreamed of as a young person. However, when I was not working at my job, I was spending all of my time working on projects like this. At some point, I was juggling between my job and having a residency at the Bridge Pie with TomTom. The whole exhibition called Who's Your RGB Self? I wanted people to feel something when they walked into my place. I called it a poetic space. It was supposed to make you feel something. You walk in, you either like it, dislike it, you feel neutral, you walk out, think about it. What the heck was that? At least. One day, I walked into my exhibit. I didn't think the whole idea of making feel something would also work on myself, the person who actually created the whole thing. I walked in, I looked around, and I was like, Golara, who are you? You work from roughly 8 to 6 p.m., 7 p.m., just doing this full-time job in a small business, which was a great job. It taught me so much. And then you spend the rest of your time working on art that eventually comes out in some medium that's slightly unusual sometimes. So I left my own exhibition with a question. Who am I? It says, who's your RGB self anyways? 2 weeks into my exhibition, I resigned. I didn't tell my mentor about it. I didn't tell anyone. I just went to Bob, our CEO, and I said, Bob, it's time for me to leave. Thank you so much. I learned so much working with you guys, amazing entrepreneurs, amazing innovators and inventors, working on figuring out what is the molecule of unknown, what is the structure of an unknown molecule looks like when you send waves toward the whole thing, complex things. And for the first 2 months, this was what I was doing, sitting in various coffee shops, spending from my savings, painting. I would sell a painting here and there, accept some commissions, and life would go on. And I thought this was everything I wanted to be, an artist. But what happened? I was still not feeling complete. I missed my technical department of the self. As an artist or as an artistic person who hangs out with many scientists or people of different disciplines who don't understand art and design, I had friends who couldn't understand me well. I just wanted to help them understand who I was. So I've been thinking, the idea was always there, how to translate my artistic feelings into something that my engineer friend will be able to relate to. And how I came, the bridge to make that happen was with music. This is a music piece that is visualized, digitized music piece, and it looks like a wave, of course. What is a wave? Wave can be art, wave can be science, wave can be the bridge, for me, between art and science. So I had this great idea, in my own opinion, also pretty abstract, that, okay, I want to print the self. I want to print part of me. Yes, self changes. So it is related to time. Thank goodness waves are also can be related to time. And started working on this idea until I met a music professor at UVA, and he told me about Lissajous figures. He said, you know what happens when two sine waves are summed up? What happens? A Lissajous figure is created, which is another math figure, and can be complete, like 100% calculated, visualized, seen, touched, and it's beautiful. To me, it was very artistic. And I was like, I am just going to run with this figure. And I went from one person to another person to another person, explaining the abstract thought of mine and telling them, you know what, I want to print the self and there's la, la, la. Sometimes it would not come out of my mouth, just like today, because I'm still learning English in some ways, especially when I'm talking about a new topic. Went on and on. What is Lissajous figure? If you plot a sine wave on x-axis and another one on y-axis, sum up the amplitudes, along your z-axis there will be some dots. When you connect those dots, it will give you, in this case, a figure 8. Basically, it's a sum of this do, lower, and the higher pitch do. Same wave, different ratios. Their relation to each other is 1 to 2. And here is a figure 8, 100% calculable. It's music. It makes you feel something if you use it right. And I started studying. Okay, it can be a line, it can be circle, figure 8, more complex, and this is just so artistic and beautiful. And when I simplified it to myself, I was like, I need to figure out what sine is. I did study about it a while ago. But sine wave is just having one dot going in circle in relation to time. And if you just extract the circle out of the circular way of its little life in a side circle, it will come out like a sine wave. What is a Lissajous figure? This is the same sine wave in the same period plotted on x-axis. Another one plotted on y-axis. The sum of their amplitudes goes down and becomes a straight line. At the same time, it will give us this three-dimensional format. If you look at it from the top, it will be a circle. This is a bit more complex. We have a cosine and a sine. By the way, cosine is another sine wave. We have 3 types of waves, like sine and then triangle and square waves. Some of it is more complex, so we get this shape. I was so indulged into this very complex idea for a while, and I saw all my life timeline as a Lissajous figure. And I said, if I am a point outside in this universe, and my coordination is x equal with sine of time, or a fraction of time, my y is cosine of a fraction of the same time, then if I'm plotted, based on Lissajous figure's rule, I'm a circle. And as time will move, I will be a small circle. It's like when I'm born, I'm like a little dot, and then I get bigger, and then when I'm complete adult, I will be on my biggest radius of this circle, and then it will go down. And I was like, this is it. I'm studying Lissajous figures, math, waves, being artistic that way, and it is, I'm going to be happy. And then I was like, well, excuse me, that is just a physical body. As humans, we also have souls and thoughts can go along the time, and it actually does travels in time. We have a past, present, future, and we are always swinging along this whole horizon. And if each of them is assigned to a wave, the sum of those waves is going to be a Lissajous figure, which will be in and out of the sphere, making it all complicated. But I was still happy just doing that. I was like, I'll just study the whole thing until something happened. Okay, in my head, I know what I'm trying to do, but I'm still, in my head, this is what I want to do, but I'm not making money, still spending from my savings, making some paintings and all that stuff, and somebody who I don't know much, just an acquaintance, knows that I left my job, comes to me and asks, Golara, I heard you left your job. How are you feeling? How is it going? And I was like, whoa, I've got a couple seconds to give you an answer. Yeah, I am great. I'm also scared and frightened. I don't know what's going to happen with the amount of the money I have in the bank. The whole life is unknown. I'm just unemployed. And I don't know you so well, and I don't know how much I want to reveal. So, all right, my answer to her was great. I'm doing great. That was when I learned honesty, and being honest is, yes, you're honest with yourself. And it also comes with different shades. When we talk to people, we project. And that projection is healthy. It's not a lie. It will become unhealthy when you go farther in that projection, and then you need to maintain that great image. That is when you start actually telling lies. But that's a different topic. For me, my projection, in my opinion, is not too big. At least I try to keep it in check. Different shades of honesty. I was thinking about it and talking to my mentor, Dr. Tate, who's also sitting among you guys. Such a great guy. He told me about Joe Harry window. He said, okay, this is the department that you know about yourself and others know about you. This is the one that you know about yourself, others don't know about you. This is the part you don't know about yourself and others know about you. I'm standing right here. I don't know how I look like. Maybe there's something on me I don't see. You see, and as you can choose if you want to share it with me or not. Oops, sorry. And this department that neither of us know. It's that implicit part of us, unconscious part of us that I ended up being very interested on later. To me, I found it very easier and more comfortable to share from this department, the part that we both know, and the part that I can choose if I want to share. The rest is out of my control. Okay, I was honest with myself. I had this ambitious, creative, abstract thought. I was going door to door to door to door to different people, talking about, yeah, I want to print the self with waves in relation to time. What do I do now? And everybody was like, oh. I collected so many amazing and unique face features during that time. People were like, I don't know. Up until I came across Career School of Education at UVA, Make to Learn Laboratory. Co-directors of that place, Dr. Boole and Dr. Garfalo, they saw my vision. They received me. And not only they let me build the whole thing, they also helped me realize something else. In 2 weeks, I built this apparatus. This is just a first thing that you make, prototype. And this is my colleague visualizing the sound out of this one string bass guitar. We hooked it to an amplifier because it has a very low frequency. This is how we are visualizing his feeling at the moment. We can talk it like that, or we're just visualizing him playing with a string as well. This is what happened when we summed up 3 different waves, pure tunes. It's a Lissajous figure. It's super cute. And I was so happy. in 2 weeks, I built this thing, and we went to Smithsonian as a part of some showcasing things for the lab, and I got to play it out there. People loved it, mostly kids. And I just put a sign there, and I said, just do it. And they would be, like, we hooked it up to a subwoofer, like, big. And then this, like, sound will be generated, and the whole room will be, like, kind of, what they say, shaking. And then I was told that, oh, there are little kids in here, please tune it down. And I was like, yeah. Along the way, I've been also having some workshops around town, just wanting to share my opinion, my thought, how I see the world with people, help them feel something. Isn't that what artists try to do at all times? I had this gigantic puzzle built for one of my shows at UVA, and ended up in elementary school here in Charlottesville. Art teacher adopted it, and then when I went to pick it up, I totally forgot about it. And I was like, Mr. Cormier, I see you're using my puzzles in your class. And he goes, this is a great tool to teach kids how to do the, principles of design. Do you want to help me come up with some game plan to help them create this puzzle in their classes? So I said, yeah. Now we started it, and it will be happening in November for 3 of art classes in that middle school. Maybe I'll share it later. Sliding puzzle, teaching different principles of design, doing my thing, up until I learned that most important thing that Make to Learn Lab taught me without me even noticing, that I really love teaching other people something. I want to use my skills and see them grow as I grow, and we can all grow together. Also, art was a great tool, for me at least, to be able to help people touch that part of themselves who they don't know about. I believe it helps people to learn, to bring something out that they are not aware of it. And I was talking to different people, including Dr. Tate again, and he said, you know what, that's a great idea. And when I did this guerrilla workshop at the downtown mall, I got the most important phone call from him and said, you know, Golara, 20 years ago, we did something similar. Do you want to talk about it? And I was like, okay. He called me, and we talked about Dr. Gerjan Krukov. He is a social scientist in Netherlands, and that he developed this arts plus management consulting ateliers, which we are using the same name for our current business with Dr. Tate, strategic management atelier. And he said, you know what, Dr. Tate told me he lives in Netherlands. And I was like, great, I just got my tickets to go to Europe for 3 weeks. I'm going to see him. We met, great afternoon and evening, talked a lot about everything. And I came back, and we started over here with the same principles, the slight changes here and there, adopting different things, and of course, putting our own thoughts into it as well. What we do is that we use art in order to touch that implicit part of each person, to map out many things, including like organizational tangles. People will learn who they are, who they truly are, because they will have to get back to their feelings in relation to the career or the workplace that they are at, and produce something. Once they produce that thing, they will be, this is an example of it, there will be some part of them that we probably will never know, they might not even know, but it will stay with them, this feeling of, oh, okay, I'm happy, I'm unhappy, or I'm neutral, or whatever. And then we will move on. They will see their own organization in the same way with art. Then they will come up with a way that they can improve their organization and how they want it to look like, and build their own bridges. Basically, we will be helping others to connect their own dots and build their own bridges in order to transition between difficult situations. This can also apply for personal improvement things and activities, as well as even for kids who just immigrated. So in Greenbrier Elementary School, in collaboration with the Franklin Museum of Art, we came up with a very simple version of this whole theory of using art in order to help people transition for children who just arrived from different camps around the world to America, and help them understand the new country and make some connections between where they were and where they are now, build their own bridge. So far, this is my best venture. It is really true to who I am. It helps me be honest with myself, with my society, and money will come along. Not so worried about that department at this point. This is where we mix the traditional way of design thinking with our art workshops. And at the end, in a way, this is my best workshop ever, and I'm here to try and inspire you guys. And I really hope that I was able to make you feel something. When you leave this place, you will at least ask one question, and that question will lead you into something greater. And you will come back here on the same stage talking, and I will be sitting among the listeners, clapping, being so happy of your growth. Thank you.
We have time for a few questions and giggles. Why are you videotaping? Oh, the balloons. Right, that's weird. Yeah, if we have any questions, Golara, I just ask that you repeat the question so the the audio picks up in the video.
Bring it on.
Golara, for example, the Greenbrier project for new immigrants, what did that look like, or what did you do with those kids?
It is in collaboration with their art teacher and another education department person who is actually the facilitator, been around for a very long time, and myself. So what we do is that we only have this art classroom, and we ask students to first draw or paint themselves. How do you see yourself? And then we ask, okay, draw and paint your family, or people you like, part of your family, your favorite food, this and that, and just to understand if they are aware of their own identity. There were some kids that they couldn't draw themselves, and we then ask them questions, and they explain. Then it's a very interesting story, because they were born in a country, and then they were taken to another country, and now they are here, very shattered in some ways, in terms of identity. So it's just asking questions, basically asking them to draw, like answer those questions with paintings. And then we move from there. Okay, this time it is about you, then next time it's more about you. I want you to draw yourself half the way you looked like in the previous country, and then half the way that you are looking like right now. And then we ask more questions. Yep. The question was, what do you guys do in Greenbrier with those kids? Yes?
You mentioned that in public, everyone has a projection of themselves. When you're creating something public like art, how do you estimate the projection within that art?
Well, when I think any artist creates a piece of art or designs something, that becomes its own person. That's how I see my creative side. When it is an object, it is its own person, and it can behave in ways that people will end up liking it or disliking it or just feel neutral. My projection will stay close to who I am, how I'm raised, my environment, what is my values, and how honest I'm going to be to myself at the moment. Does that answer the question? The question was like, when you create an art piece, how do you actually?
It's easy to monitor one's own projection.
Yeah.
moment to moment. But when you're creating a piece of art,
Yes.
so you're saying the art ends up being its own person
Yeah.
with its own projection, or is that a projection of you?
No, after I create it, it's no longer me because I change. Self changes all over time. Remember I was talking about it? We just can capture snapshots of it. Once that snapshot is out, it's out. It's not. Well, I can count as responsible. If somebody comes back and says, hey, this is too political, super political, blah, blah, I can usually write down something around the same time, sign it and document it, and they'll be like, I'll be like, here you go. At the moment, this was my thoughts. Here we go.
So you've done a couple of these workshops now, the mall and consulting workshops. Do you have any stories of how do people react? How do people...
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Yeah, the question was how people react for this when we are doing this workshop with them. They show up thinking, oh, what the heck is this? Like, I'm here. We did it for a very serious department in August, and they really had serious things going on. And okay, it worked as an icebreaker in the beginning. They liked it. They drew some things. They probably drew something else than they really felt they wanted to draw. But then they went through the rest of the whole thing, and at the end, they ended up saying things like what are they going to take out of the whole workshop. And we also asked them to draw something, their feelings and all that. And the drawing matched, without them even realizing it, matched their words. And actually, the head of the department started tearing up because she was like, wow, I couldn't really realize how is this going to work, and now I see. It was very powerful. We also, Dr. Data and I had worked with one person who was also working was in a transitional mode, and he had everything within himself. All the information was there. He didn't know how to bring it out. So he would start stage by stage drawing all of this information that is in his mind. And then she started realizing, oh my gosh, okay, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. At the end, she also teared up. So it has been a very private and powerful experience for us. That's why we really want to keep continuing that work. Great. There was another question over there. Were you? No? Yeah?
Do you think that mathematicians and scientists are artists?
In a way, yes. I think mathematicians and the question was if I think mathematicians and scientists are artists. In many ways, yes, they are. I'm working alongside those people. I've seen their passion for their craft. They are just as passionate as an artist would be. And I even told my CTO, previous CTO, I said, Justin, you act like an artist. And believe it or not, those people don't even know, especially in research department, they don't know what is this whole thing going to lead into. They make a lot of changes, just like we do. They have to think a lot hard on how to problem solve and find their way. Yes, very much like. Yes?
When you finally came up with the concept that you wanted to create and you were talking to different people, I'm really curious to get a sense of what was the narrative within you or the story that you were telling yourself in order to push through that inertia and to get to where you wanted to go?
Yes, great question again. I mean, all of these questions are amazing. So the question is, when I was telling people the story of me printing the self, what was the whole narrative? What I did, I started telling that to myself, and then I started telling that to my friends, because then as I would hear my own voice, the story will develop, and I knew there was something in this, and because of my experience with figuring out the structure of unknown molecules with waves, I was thinking, okay, if my feelings if feelings is something that is not tangible and understandable and unknown, I should be able to project some sort of light on it. So basically, it was very abstract. So I would go with that, and I say, hey, I worked on these molecules that we didn't know what is the structure of it. We shine light on it. feelings to me are the same way, and we can also use waves to visualize music. Music makes you feel something. I want to do it with pure tunes, and here, what is my plan? I want to build a space to make somebody feel something, and then have them DJ some basic tunes, and we visualize it and see if we get a pattern. And another thing that I made it at the moment a little bit more scientific, I said, I also want to see if the opposite is also real, if we can go from a figure, a sound, a feeling, into making somebody feel something. And that got popular at that time, although some people couldn't understand. That's how one person liked it, and then they introduced me to another person, to another person, to another person. And just eventually I found home for the whole thing. Yeah. Yes?
We're actually close on time. Let's do this. One more question.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you done the shining the light and on emotions with like a human voice rather than music?
I believe so. I actually did visualize some words with different human voices, and they don't turn into liturgy figures because voice is a lot more complicated than just a pure tune. And the results for me at that one moment was very interesting. The word focus based on that person's voice, it looks like flower. And I was like, wow, this can be, I think I'm up to something here. Because it's very visually pleasing. Voice, words. If you want to just come by Make to Learn Lab, we can have you talk and we'll visualize your voice. Yeah, so happy to do that. Yes.
Let's give Golara another round of applause.